I began my journey in a world where ordinary men and women drifted aimlessly through life, unaware of the latent power within their minds. Napoleon Hill had written, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." Those words struck me like a lightning bolt. I realized that my thoughts were shaping my destiny, whether I liked it or not. If I allowed idle fears and doubts to dominate, failure would naturally follow. But if I trained my mind on desire, purpose, and faith, I could mold my life as I wished. I committed myself to a definite chief aim. Hill said, "A definite chief aim is the starting point of all achievement." I did not simply wish for success. I declared a burning objective, a single goal that would consume my imagination and dominate my thoughts. This aim became a beacon, guiding every decision, every action, and every effort. Without it, I would remain lost among the crowd, subject to circumstances and chance. Faith became my first weapon. Hill wrote, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When mixed with thought, it translates desire into its physical equivalent." I visualized the achievement I sought, imagining it with vivid clarity until my mind could see it as reality. Belief gave life to thought. I could feel the power of faith drawing opportunities, solutions, and allies toward me. Every day I nourished that faith through affirmation and reflection, letting it saturate my subconscious until doubt became impossible. Desire is the engine of all achievement. Hill said, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat." I cultivated a burning desire, a fire that would not be extinguished by setbacks, ridicule, or fatigue. Desire gave urgency to my actions, focus to my mind, and resilience to my spirit. I realized that the intensity of my desire determined the magnitude of my success. I learned the importance of persistence. Hill's words resonated deeply. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. The world resisted my ambition at every turn. Opportunities appeared late, competitors grew stronger, and obstacles multiplied. Yet I pressed on. Persistence was not merely stubbornness. It was intelligent, relentless, deliberate action aligned with my purpose. Each step forward, no matter how small, compounded over time, building momentum toward my goal. I understood that knowledge alone was not enough. Hill warned, "Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end." I gathered every scrap of relevant knowledge, yet I knew that information without application was worthless. I turned theory into strategy, and strategy into executable plans. Knowledge organized into action is power. Knowledge left idle is wasted. I embraced accurate thinking. Hill said, "Think accurately and you will act wisely. Think inaccurately and you will act foolishly." I began to examine every assumption, every belief, and every decision. I sought facts, verified sources, and eliminated speculation. My mind became a precision instrument, capable of dissecting problems and identifying solutions with clarity and efficiency. The law of the mastermind became my ally. Hill wrote, "No individual may have great power without availing themselves of the mastermind." I sought individuals who shared my vision, complemented my skills, and challenged my thinking. Together, we formed a network of minds, a collective intelligence far greater than the sum of its parts. Ideas multiplied, strategies improved, and opportunities became visible through the lens of combined wisdom. Imagination became my laboratory for innovation. Hill said, "Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes." I allowed my mind to explore boldly, to conceive solutions that others deemed impossible. Every problem contained a hidden solution, waiting to be discovered by those willing to think creatively. Imagination was the bridge between desire and reality, turning abstract concepts into tangible results. Adversity became a teacher rather than an enemy. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Setbacks tested my patience, honed my skills, and revealed opportunities disguised as misfortune. I learned to welcome challenges, for each contained wisdom that could not be gained otherwise. Every trial strengthened my mind, fortified my character, and deepened my understanding of success. I cultivated self-discipline because Hill reminded me, self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. Control your mind and you control your destiny. I regulated impulses, delayed gratification, and focused energy on the most productive tasks. Discipline turned desire into consistent action. Without discipline, even the strongest ambition fades, yet with it, persistence and faith become unstoppable forces. The subconscious mind became my silent partner. Hill wrote, "Through the aid of your subconscious mind, you may voluntarily plant in your mind a dominating desire which will bring you everything you desire." I visualized my goals daily, feeding my subconscious with detailed images and strong emotion. Slowly, these seeds germinated, influencing my decisions, actions, and perceptions in ways that aligned with my chief aim. Enthusiasm became the fuel for influence. Hill emphasized, enthusiasm is the sparkle in the eyes, the zest in action, the magnetism that draws others to your cause. I acted with passion and energy, attracting collaborators, mentors, and opportunities. Enthusiasm transformed ordinary tasks into extraordinary achievements, and every interaction became an opportunity to advance my vision. I realized that accurate self-assessment was vital. Hill said, "Knowledge of self is the foundation of personal power." I scrutinized my strengths, acknowledged weaknesses, and sought improvement constantly. Self-awareness allowed me to leverage talents efficiently while addressing deficiencies proactively. Without self-knowledge, ambition remains directionless, but with it, every effort compounds toward achievement. Faith and imagination merged, forming a powerful engine of manifestation. Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." I envisioned success vividly, felt it deeply, and allowed that certainty to shape every action. The mind reacts to belief, not reality. When belief is strong, it aligns effort, decision-making, and creativity toward inevitable achievement. Persistence continued to reveal its power. Hill's principle echoed, "Most great people have achieved their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure." I pressed on when others quit, when hope seemed distant, and when the world mocked my ambition. Breakthroughs often appear precisely after the point where most surrender. Success favors the relentless, not the timid. Positive mental attitude guided my perception. Hill said, "Avoid the negative, cultivate the positive, and keep your mind open only to constructive ideas." I filtered input, dismissed negativity, and embraced optimism. Positivity enhances creativity, strengthens resilience, and attracts opportunity. The mind is fertile soil. It will grow what is sown. The principle of the law of compensation became evident. Hill wrote, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." Excellence and generosity generate return. Effort beyond expectation compounds into recognition, influence, and reward. Success grows from contribution, not entitlement. Each day, I observed that the integration of Hill's principles created unstoppable momentum. Desire fuels faith. Faith generates persistence. Persistence attracts knowledge. Knowledge and imagination produce solutions. Discipline and accurate thought convert solutions into results. Enthusiasm sustains energy. Adversity teaches lessons. Mastermind alliances multiply effect. Subconscious absorption unites principles into continuous forward motion. With every step, I embraced accountability. Hill emphasized, "Success requires no apologies and failure permits no alibis." Responsibility rests entirely with the individual. Circumstance influences but does not determine outcome. Mastery of self and alignment with principle governs results. As part one of my journey concludes, I stand at the precipice of transformation. The fire of desire burns brightly, the mind is disciplined and focused, and faith has become certainty. I am prepared to take the next step, knowing that the application of principle, persistence, and imagination will turn vision into reality. The journey continues, and success is no longer an aspiration. It is inevitable. I stepped forward into the world armed with a burning desire, unwavering faith, and a mind disciplined by thought. Napoleon Hill had written, "Success comes to those who become success conscious." I realized that achievement is not a matter of luck or chance. It is the natural consequence of consciously applied principles. My mind was no longer a passive observer, but an active architect, shaping my reality in accordance with thought, purpose, and action. I continued to cultivate my definite chief aim. Hill emphasized, "Whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve." Every decision, every action, and every encounter revolved around this central goal. I visualized it repeatedly, infusing my imagination with detail, emotion, and clarity. Desire had transformed into a tangible blueprint, a map for my actions. It was no longer merely an aspiration. It was a living, breathing force guiding my every move. Faith remained my constant companion. Hill said, "Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When mixed with thought, it translates desire into its physical equivalent." I fed my subconscious with affirmation, expectation, and belief. I acted as if success had already been achieved, and in doing so, I discovered the remarkable truth that the mind does not distinguish between real and vividly imagined experience. Faith turned thought into habit, and habit into action. Persistence continued to forge my path. Hill wrote, "Most great people have achieved their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure." Every challenge that appeared was a test of endurance, every obstacle a lesson in resilience. I pressed forward when others faltered, understanding that triumph often comes to those who refuse to quit. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is determined, intelligent action aligned with a clear purpose, and it multiplies the effect of all other principles. Knowledge became my tool, organized into practical plans of action. Hill warned, "Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end." I studied relentlessly, but I did not hoard information. Every idea was analyzed, synthesized, and converted into practical strategies. Knowledge becomes power when it is executed with discipline, creativity, and clarity of purpose. Accurate thinking sharpened my decisions. Hill said, "Think accurately and you will act wisely. Think inaccurately and you will act foolishly." I avoided assumptions, verified facts, and made decisions grounded in reality. Accurate thought prevented wasted effort, minimized mistakes, and allowed my actions to generate maximum results. The mind that thinks with precision acts with confidence. I drew on the power of the mastermind. Hill wrote, "No individual may have great power without availing themselves of the mastermind." I surrounded myself with like-minded, driven individuals whose ideas, skills, and support amplified my own. Collaboration multiplied intelligence, creativity, and opportunity. Alone, we are limited, but together, we form an exponential force, capable of achieving what seems impossible. Imagination became a laboratory for innovation. Hill emphasized, "Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes." I allowed myself to dream boldly, to explore solutions that defied convention. Every problem contained a hidden opportunity, waiting for the mind willing to look deeper. Creativity transformed obstacles into stepping stones, turning adversity into advantage. Adversity became my teacher and ally. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Each setback was an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. Rather than despair, I sought lessons. Pain and difficulty sharpened the mind, strengthened character, and revealed pathways that ease and comfort could never show. Self-discipline became the foundation of all action. Hill stated, "Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. Control your mind and you control your destiny." I resisted impulses that distracted, delayed, or diluted my effort. Discipline allowed me to focus relentlessly on productive action, converting desire into measurable progress. Without self-control, effort is wasted, but with it, every step compounds toward achievement. The subconscious mind absorbed all these principles. Hill wrote, "Through the aid of your subconscious mind, you may voluntarily plant in your mind a dominating desire which will bring you everything you desire." By daily visualization, repetition, and emotional investment, my goals became ingrained in my subconscious. It guided decisions, revealed opportunities, and influenced circumstances toward the fulfillment of my definite chief aim. Enthusiasm became my outward expression, drawing allies, opportunities, and momentum. Hill emphasized, enthusiasm is the sparkle in the eyes, the zest in action, the magnetism that draws others to your cause. Every action carried energy and conviction. People were inspired, doors opened, and networks expanded. Enthusiasm transforms ordinary work into extraordinary achievement. I practiced accurate self-assessment constantly. Hill wrote, "Knowledge of self is the foundation of personal power." I recognized my strengths and weaknesses, leveraged my talents effectively, and sought improvement in areas where I fell short. Self-awareness allowed me to act strategically, to capitalize on strengths while mitigating vulnerabilities. Faith and imagination merged, producing unstoppable momentum. Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." I felt the certainty of success in every thought, every action, every heartbeat. When belief becomes so vivid and compelling that doubt cannot survive, the mind organizes effort, creativity, and opportunity toward inevitable achievement. Persistence revealed its greatest value. Hill emphasized, "The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat." I remained vigilant, pressing forward when challenges seemed insurmountable, knowing that the breakthrough always comes just beyond the point where most surrender. Positive mental attitude guided my perception. Hill said, "Avoid the negative, cultivate the positive, and keep your mind open only to constructive ideas." I filtered all input, dismissed pessimism, and embraced optimism. The mind is like fertile soil. It will grow what is sown. By planting positivity, opportunity and progress flourished naturally. The law of compensation revealed its truth in every action. Hill wrote, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." Excellence, contribution, and service multiplied returns beyond expectation. Success is not about entitlement. It grows from effort, generosity, and value creation. Every principle acted as a gear in a vast machine. Desire fueled faith. Faith generated persistence. Persistence attracted knowledge. Knowledge and imagination produced solutions. Discipline converted solutions into results. Enthusiasm inspired action. Adversity taught wisdom. Mastermind collaboration multiplied impact. Subconscious absorption harmonized principles into continuous forward motion. Each piece reinforced the other, creating unstoppable momentum. I embraced accountability fully. Hill said, "Success requires no apologies and failure permits no alibis." Circumstances influence but do not determine results. Responsibility lies entirely with the individual. Mastery of self, clarity of purpose, and disciplined application of principle determine outcome. As time passed, I saw the principles manifest in tangible achievement. Opportunities arose, problems were solved, relationships strengthened, and influence expanded. Hill emphasized, opportunity often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. I learned to recognize potential in every event, to extract value from every challenge, and to act decisively when chance presented itself. Wealth, influence, and success followed naturally as a byproduct of applied principles. Hill wrote, "Riches begin in the form of thought. Wealth comes to those who apply knowledge and take persistent action." Every action aligned with purpose, every decision disciplined, and every thought focused on desired outcomes contributed to tangible results. I reflected on the journey and realized the transformation was not merely external, it was profound within. Hill said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command." My mindset, character, and understanding of the laws governing success had been elevated. I was no longer the same person who began with mere desire. I had become a master of thought, action, and destiny. As I reached the pinnacle of my journey, I knew the principles would serve me endlessly. Hill wrote, "You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be." I had discovered the ultimate truth. Success is not a matter of luck or circumstance. It is the result of disciplined thought, organized action, and unyielding faith. Through desire, faith, persistence, imagination, accurate thought, self-discipline, mastermind alliances, and a positive mental attitude, every goal became attainable. The journey of achievement continues endlessly, but the principles are eternal. Napoleon Hill had given the map, and I had walked the path. The manifestation of mastery was no longer a dream but a lived reality. The fire of ambition burned brighter than ever. I had learned that true success is measured not by wealth or status alone, but by the capacity to dream, believe, act, and persevere beyond all limitations. Hill wrote, "The ladder of success is never crowded at the top." I had climbed, guided by principles, and now stood ready to inspire, teach, and lead others on the same path. Success, I realized, is a state of mind, a disciplined pursuit, and a conscious application of universal laws. Hill's principles are not merely rules, they are the architecture of destiny. By applying them consistently, I had transformed vision into reality, desire into achievement, and thought into lasting power.